Tashitele Dhamma friends. So today we are going to meditate, and there's a way to meditate according to Mahamudra or Dzogchen or the middle way, the Madhyamaka. But actually, as you have learned during the Gongchik teachings by Lord Jigten Sumgön had said that when the supreme view is the view that is untouched or unreached by the three great ones. And Milarepa also gave it a name. He called it the innate nature. And Milarepa also said that aside from realizing the natural state of the mind, there is no other perfection of wisdom than that. This is what Milarepa said to the Kadampa Geshes. So the view is the actual nature of one's own mind. That's what we call the view, the natural state of the mind. So meditation becomes really good when we are not confused by so much terminology. We have to look at the essence. So the Buddha had said himself, all sentient beings are actually Buddhas. And that means their mind is Buddha. So all sentient beings in the 6 realms of samsara, for example, an ant, we're not saying that an ant is actually enlightened or a Buddha, but the mind, the actual mind in its natural state is Buddha. And so when one recognizes the nature of the mind, when one recognizes it, one is a Buddha. So it is given that name, then the innate natural state. And this is what we are practicing when we are practicing meditation. So the view, what we call the so-called view, is the natural state of the mind, or as Milarepa called it, the innate nature. And innate also means something that is unchanging, something that is uninterrupted, always present, continuously. So in this life, in future lives, and in the Bardo, it never changes, it's never interrupted. So that's the meaning of the innate nature. So you all have received many instructions, but Milarepa in brief said the only, like talking about what's like a valid cognition, he said the only valid cognition is your own mind. And so he said that in response to some people who challenged him and said that you are a meditator, so tell us about what you know about the so-called pramana, or the valid cognition. And so Milarepa said, I have not learned, I do not know about the valid cognition as described in scriptures, but what I do know is that the only true valid cognition is one's own mind. So one needs to understand that's the only valid is one's own mind. And then within the mind, when you meditate, many thoughts arise, but there's only one clear awareness. And when you meditate, you look directly at the essence of that awareness, that one mind. And then you realize there's just this one mind. So as you keep looking at that mind, the mind becomes clear, like clear water. And when it remains that way, you have achieved the state of single-pointedness. So when you habituate to that for a long time, you recognize that there's all sentient beings have just one mind. That is the single ground. There's one ground. So when you really understand that and stabilize that, you have reached single-pointedness. And this is the first step of meditation. In the Ganges Mahamudra text, it says, when you cut through the root of a tree, all the branches and foliage wither. So likewise, when you understand the root of the mind, you have understood the root of all of samsara and nirvana. the root of all samsara and nirvana is, in fact, your own mind. This is what you realize. And so then, even though you might initially have this concept of, I have to meditate, the one conceiving this is that clear awareness, and that's the one you need to look at. And when you look at your mind, what you see is the Buddha. The mind of sentient beings primordially has the nature of Buddha. And what is a quality of Buddha? The word Buddha is the embodiment of the three kayas. So when one attains the state of Buddhahood, one actualizes the three kayas. And where are they now? Milarepa gave an instruction to a philosopher, a great scholar, on meditation, and so on the four kayas. And he said that when the mind is without any thought and it becomes completely empty, this state of no thought is the Dharmakaya. And remaining within that state of no thought leads to an experience of great joy, great bliss. And from this bliss arises the Sambhogakaya. And then this awareness is also clearly knowing. So those three qualities are actually just one mind, they're not separate things. And this clear knowing, from this clear knowing quality arises the Nirmanakaya. So it is this clear knowing capacity. So there is the empty mind, the empty blissful mind, and there is clear awareness of that. That clear awareness is that consciousness. And consciousness sees itself. So from this seeing arises this knowing, arises the Nirmanakaya. And then the fourth kaya, the Svabhavika kaya, or the essence kaya, is the innate nature of the mind. And so these are the four kayas that we recognize through meditation practice. This song can be found in the 100,000 Songs of Milarepa. It's a very important instruction. So now we shall meditate, and those of you whose mind is not so stable yet, you should focus on meditating on immeasurable love. Because without immeasurable love, actually, we cannot really meditate. If we are lacking love and compassion, our self-grasping is just too strong. So therefore, mainly, we begin with cultivating immeasurable love. So the seeds of the three kayas are present within your own mind. They are like the seeds of a flower. So they are within your own mind. And you realize them when you realize the nature of the mind. So we meditate for a short while. And so just look at the clear awareness that recognizes all. So this insight is what we refer to as vipassana, or the higher insight. So this meditation really, in essence, is shamatha and vipassana. So now everyone meditate, and meditation is not just something we're doing right now, but it's something that you have to do over and over again, many times, repeatedly. So when you meditate, remember these words by Milarepa, and look at your mind, look at these qualities within your mind. And you have to meditate many times, repeatedly. The shortest meditation is when you're, for example, going to pee. This is also when, at that time also you should meditate, or when you're walking around. Milarepa said, whether you are walking, sitting, or lying down, look at your mind. So now we are going to meditate. During meditation, you look at the clear awareness, your consciousness. Now we call it the consciousness. That must be recognized. And when you recognize this consciousness, it transforms into primordial wisdom. So we call it the consciousness when there is a dualistic perception of self and other. When there is no more duality, then we call it the non-dual primordial wisdom. So Rinpoche will chant Milarepa's instruction, the song, in melody.
Madhoi balai chu gadai, devai jila loin guj, savani lai chu gadai, nyumwang o ji je ga, mangala ke pe je yo song. Chunga jimbe daye ne donga simche na jijo kaba se wasa yese chudong de jejo je korde te san sa da yo begi do ne shi je simche jen korde di nye song jo do je chang ge ge je de gong ge gong wa lo wa yu.
So Dharma friends, on an ongoing basis, it is this clear awareness that you should sustain in all your daily activities. So merge them with your daily activities. So this bringing the clear awareness also into your activities, that is actually most important. It is said that one has to gain certainty in the view, gain confidence in the view, and one has to gain experience in meditation, and one has to bring the conduct to its furthest limits, which is you're merging the meditation with your daily activities, with your conduct. Because if you're not merging meditation with conduct, then you will be no different than an ordinary person. So it's very important to continuously merge the meditation with the daily conduct, daily activities. So Dharma friends, Tashi Delek. And so we wonder how meditation is going, and actually people ask many questions about how their meditation is going, but actually you really have to ask yourself. And how do you ask yourself? It is said that to kind of measure the level of one's realization of the view, or one's realization of the view will be known in the face of negative circumstances. So for example, when strong desire arises, or when strong anger arises, or when strong suffering arises, if you're able to meditate at those times, then this affliction will disappear, will be destroyed. So you really have to resolve that yourself, your own meditation. So when you have gained confidence, then you should feel that I'm confident in this life, and in a Bardo in future lives there, I'm confident about my meditation. So in the Dzogchen it is said to know where you know what a realization of the view you have. You will know that in the face of difficult circumstances. And for the meditators, as like a daily prayer, the 7 verses of supplication to Tara for protection, this prayer is very important. And so one verse, for example, says that beings have not realized that they themselves are Dharmakaya. being controlled by afflictive emotions, they wander in the realms of samsara. So if afflictive emotions control you now, then they will also control you in the bardo. And then as a result of following these afflictive emotions, one will experience the suffering of the 6 realms of samsara. For example, hatred or anger leads to the experience of hell and so on. So the 7 verses of supplication to Tara is a very important prayer to do really on a daily, on an ongoing basis. And Tara herself, her nature is wisdom, which is indivisible from your own mind. And everyone experiences a lot of suffering. So if you experience suffering, then don't think about your suffering, but think about the suffering of the world. And that actually helps your own suffering to become free from your own suffering even more. And also you're accumulating merit. Also recite the world peace prayer or any prayer of any different lineage or religion. Make this prayer your own prayer with a mind of love and compassion. And such a prayer really is the supreme antidote to suffering. It is said that all suffering, without exception, comes from wishing for one's own happiness. So bring to mind the suffering of the world and your country and the people in the country and so on. So this is an aeon, an age of disease. The Buddha spoke about 3 kinds of ages or aeons. There will be an age of weapons, an age of famine, and an age of disease. And so this one is the age of disease. And this also arises due to afflictive emotions. And everything else is just a condition, but the real cause are the afflictive emotions. So continue to eat the mani pills, the blessing pills, and apply the prayer wheel balm and wear the bracelets. And actually it is said that this bracelet, for example, all of these together really can turn away the obstacles of untimely death. And even if one's time to die has come, then we also have the liberation by touching, by wearing, that we cover the body with. So all the disciples should practice in this way, eat those mani pills and apply the balm and wear the bracelets and so on. And you do it yourself and also distribute it to others. And if you distribute it to others, it is really actually an incredible merit. I love you all, and Dashi Delek.
Everybody Sangha, thank you, baby. I love you.
I love you.